Hi, I'm Nat at Lunar Coil, where scales meet stories and passion meets pythons. Hi, so thank you for tuning in to my second ever video. I decided that I want to talk a little bit today, there's a fly in here, sorry, a little bit today about the history of ball pythons and some of the myth and lore surrounding them. I could do a video talking about different morphs, but I'm not going to lie, I'm new to this. I know a little bit, but I definitely don't know a lot. So I'm hoping that these videos will sort of follow me and my partner as we expand our knowledge and expand into breeding, and we can kind of share with you guys what we've learned, what we wish we knew, the mistakes, the joys, the ups, the downs. But something I can talk about is today's subject video. What are ball pythons? Where do they come from? A little bit of their history. You will have to excuse me looking off to various different directions. I do have flashcards because I don't trust myself not to go off on a tangent. So let's get started. Oh, sorry, I forgot. This is my co-presenter today. This is Finn. He's my little buddy and I love him very, very much. Otherwise known as my weighted therapy scarf. Anyway, so what are royal pythons? Where do they come from? So Africa, basically, primarily Central and West Africa, so countries like Ghana, Togo, Benin, parts of Nigeria and parts of Uganda. They are also known as ball pythons. That primarily came in the 70s and the 80s when they started being introduced into the pet market and bred in captivity. They were called ball pythons because of their ever so effective defense mechanism of tucking their heads up, rolling themselves into a ball and just praying you don't eat them. They were given their Latin name, which is Python regius, I hope I've pronounced that right, in 1758 by Swedish zoologist Carl Linnaeus, whereas regius means royal. So royal python, where did that come from? And for this, we've got to jump back in time. So we all know who Alexander the Great was. I think we do. If not, it's a 3-minute Google search. So following his death, it saw the Greek origin dynasty Ptolemaic, the Ptolemaic dynasty in ancient Egypt, and the last leader of that era being no other than the famous Queen Cleopatra herself. And it was rumoured that Cleopatra actually had these beautiful snakes imported from Africa and she used to wear them like living jewellery. Now, that's not the only ties to royal families. So several West African cultures, they were considered sacred, they were associated with ancestral spirits, with royal families, and in some traditions, killing or even harming them was forbidden. So we can all get behind that, can't we? So to even, there's a lot of lore and a lot of history around these snakes. If we want to jump back again to ancient Greece, it was said that Gaia, so Gaia, Mother Earth herself, birthed a great serpent, and she called her, it was a her, Python. And now Python used to guard the sacred waters at Delphi, and that was the waters belonging to Gaia. So it was entrenched in spiritual power and history and creation, etc. Now, we all know who Apollo is, the sun god. Now, young Apollo, this was all before the Olympians rose to power, but young Apollo fancied proving himself amongst the other gods. So he decided that he wanted to take Delphi as his own. So he came down and he fought the great serpent. Now, he slayed Python, but because of he wanted to honour her and honour her spirits, he created something called the Pythian Games. And when he put his own priestess at Delphi, he renamed her Pythia. Now Pythia was said to wander the gardens and beside the sacred waters, and would often go into a trance-like state where she'd be communing with Python and passing her knowledge on to anyone that needed guidance. But snakes have been viewed throughout history for many different reasons. In ancient Greece, they were seen as guardians and protectors of liminal spaces. So think thresholds, crossroads, spirit realms. So that in itself, in the ancient Greek pantheon, can link them to Hecate and Hades. In other pantheons, it can link them to Lilith. You know, the snakes are described as being symbols of temptation. I can see it, because once you have one, you want more. They were viewed as witches' companions. No comment. And that mystique and that myth has followed them throughout history. These guys aren't just beautiful companions. They're sacred creatures across the world and throughout so many different cultures, from guardians of ancient temples to symbols of rebirth and transformation. You know, a lot of modern day witches as well will use like snake sheds of when you've outgrown yourself and you want to emerge, you've got beautiful more pattern, you want to break away from the old in that transformation into a new. And that, I mean, their energy is woven into spiritual history. So I think next time you see these beautiful creatures, just think about the mystery and the magic that's also beneath these morphs. You know, they're beautiful inside and out, and they definitely have a place in our hearts. And it makes me really sad when people just assume that they are horrible and they're slimy and they're going to just try and eat you every opportunity they get. But they are really are beautiful snakes. And yeah, I started with one. I now have 15. And they're lovely little friends. They're just absolutely beautiful. So thank you, flipping fly. Thank you so much for tuning in to my second video. I hope that you've enjoyed learning a little bit about the history and the myth, the magic and the legends that are ball pythons. And I also hope that, or just pythons in general, I guess, as well, because of the great serpent that birthed them all. But I'm, you know, I really appreciate you tuning in and watching, so thank you very much. And I hope that you will like and you will subscribe and you will continue to follow us on our journey as we learn more about the morphs, we learn more about, you know, breeding, and hopefully, you know, it won't be too long until we produce our first clutch of babies and we get to share that with you guys too. So thank you very much for watching.